Yo, what's going on, everybody? Back with another live. We're just here chilling, hanging out. You already know how it is. Just hanging out with y'all and all that good stuff. Hopefully, everybody's having a good Friday, starting off the weekend and all that good stuff. Yeah, just gonna give it a few minutes while we wait for people to come on and stuff so we can just chill and pretty much talk about whatever today. Nothing really specific, whatever y'all want to just ask and talk about, we can talk about that and stuff. Like I said, just hanging out with y'all and stuff. What's going on, Charger Six Pack? Appreciate you for watching. You already know. Yeah, happy Friday, finally. Friday. Literally, right? Yeah, man, just here, just just chilling and stuff. I just decided to, I was like, let's just talk about this and just talk about whatever just today. What's everybody's up to? I don't know if y'all see the logo, but for some reason it's just not showing it. I don't know what the hell's up with this. There's always something, but whatever, y'all know how it is, how we do it, and we'll just talk about whatever and anything today. Let's see, making pancakes, and you're good for today. Good, good, good. Toy Mafia, what up, what up? Appreciate you for tuning in. Yeah, just here, just here checking in with y'all and stuff. Like I said, nothing real specific to talk about today. Just just random stuff, whatever y'all want to talk about and stuff. One thing I do want to talk about real quick, I've been meaning to talk about is if you're a collector, like we need to seriously back up that crowdfunding from McFarlane with what is it with Suicide Squad with Harley and Joker. It's almost about to get funded and I think there's like probably like 10 days left or something like that. So I suggest we should all start backing it up, especially if we collect things like that. Just to show them, hey, look, there's still a demand. People want it. I think the last time I saw it, I think it was like 2 days ago. It was like at 80. I think it was like 81% or something like that. So it needs probably like 20 more percent or less, and it should be complete. Sean, what up? Appreciate you for watching. Also, Friday, Good Friday. Every Friday is good. you know. But yeah, man. Like I said, just nothing specific. Whatever y'all want to talk about and things like that we could go ahead and talk about. You know, I know that Zach posted a picture with Henry Cavill, and it's pretty awesome to see how people are still talking about that. Um, I'm not gonna speculate from it, but it's just a picture that he posted and stuff, so that's pretty cool. Seeing stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, hell yeah. He dropped that snapshot of Henry Cavill with it saying Superman. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. That's what I'm telling you. Like let's speculate. I mean, why not, right? Could he just be teasing and just be like, "Yo, let's see the demand." Who knows? Who knows? I want to stay positive. I'm gonna look at it from that bright side and just pretty much just roll with it. Just because. Let's see, Kenneth, what's up? Oh yeah, yeah, I already see you. Edward, what's up? Not much, just here hanging out with you and stuff like that. We're just chilling, just vibing. You already know how we do this. But seeing the whole thing with that picture and stuff, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome to see. It's always good to see Zach showing, the support and the love, and just putting it out there and stuff like that. Who do I think is gonna buy Warner Brothers? I don't know, honestly. You're talking about like, these are all high rollers in the sense of they got so much money, like all these companies that want to buy. The question is, somebody's gonna buy them, but the real big question is, will David Zaslav in the end sell it? Because it all falls under him. If he doesn't sell it, he's a straight fool, honestly, like for being too greedy. Like I get turning down $60 billion, but WB is not in a situation where they could pick and choose right now. And so what? They have all these IPs that make money. It's not bringing in them, it's not bringing them money right now. So that's affecting them in the long run. And that long run has finally caught up. This is why we are where we are right now. Like it's about to go. The bids already up. And right now I know I think it's Comcast, they're preparing their bid, and we know that Netflix is also preparing their bid. So are they going to counter offer with a high amount? They are, but we have to see how much. And when you look at all this, just looking at these numbers with like I spoke about it a few days ago in a video, like the biggest one is Apple. I don't see Apple buying them, but they can buy them because they're sitting on like, damn man. Let me pull out my notes because I know I had them the other day. Look at this crazy stuff, man. Look, Apple is sitting at 3.64 trillion. That's how much they have. Amazon 2.31 trillion, not billion. We're talking about trillion. Yo, that's nuts. Like Apple can buy Amazon. That's how big they are. You see what I'm saying? And Netflix has 523 billion. So, they have money. They have more money than Comcast. Comcast is sitting at 108 billion, and at the bottom one you see Paramount. Paramount, they're at 18 billion. So, but with that merger with Skydance, of course it went up and stuff like that. So, I mean, who knows? Anything can come from that. BD086, what up, bro? Appreciate you for watching also. What if Lion Gates buys WB? Who knows? Whoever makes the offer, you know, it's pretty much the one that's gonna win. Bad Beast, what up? Appreciate you for watching also. Let's see. Let me see. Margins World of Go Animate 5. What's up? What's up? Appreciate you for watching also. Whoever buys Warner Brothers, I really hope they let James Gunn go. Yeah, they're gonna let him go. Since he's been in charge of DC, it's really been depressing and a bad time to be a DC fan. Yeah, everything that James Gunn has been doing, he has been ruining, honestly, Then that kind of rhyme too. James Gunn's been doing, he's been ruining. It's crazy, right? You support Paramount buying Warner Brothers. Yeah, the same with me. That's what I want. Honestly, I personally would want and would love for Paramount or Comcast, either or. Netflix, not so much. And I'll tell you why. Just because, like how they tend to be, like they screw people over and stuff. They haven't screwed Zach over, but they did do Henry Cavill dirty with The Witcher and stuff like that. But then again, let's not forget, he had told him he was gonna move, and do stuff with Black Adam because he had a return and stuff. So it's a sort of double edge that it can, it just, I mean, it's show business. The hype is there. The post on Instagram of Zack Snyder, Henry Cavill, Superman. Yeah, exactly. That's getting it's getting a lot of traction, so that's good. Christoph, Tom, appreciate you for watching. Also, let's see, Restore Snyderverse. Yes, sir. You already know it. Light skin. What up? Let's see. Clark and Lois should have 6 kids. Oh yeah, that's the one that you posted the other day. I saw. Let's see. I think it's close to the Snyderverse. Something can happen. Yeah, for sure it's gonna happen. Something's definitely gonna happen for sure. James Gunn finally goes away. Yeah, they want him out of Hollywood. Like I know I read something that that dude that I forgot his name, but that billionaire that owns, I think, what is it, Paramount and Skydance or whatever. That dude, like I'm telling you right now, this is no longer about like buying WB. This is about getting James Gunn out of Hollywood. Period. Because he's ruining everything in the industry. Let's be real. When you have Kevin Feige coming out calling out James Gunn and telling him, "Yo, he ruined the end of Marvel to where they are right now." Yeah, it's like, yeah. So that tells you everything. Are you aware that if Paramount buys WBD, Nickelodeon Cartoon Network will be under the same umbrella, also HBO and Showtime? Yeah, that will be all. That'll be a huge, massive win. For them as the studio, the brands, the IPs, and of course us, the fans, because they could do so much off of that. They could do so many crossovers. They can just do a lot of things. Personally, I'm not sure about Paramount, but Superman being outperformed by Black Adam is so hilarious. Yeah, exactly. I saw that post too. That's crazy. Like Black Adam outperformed Superman from James Gunn on stream. So that tells you everything. That's what I'm telling you, baby. Look, you guys are motivating me, yo. That's crazy. I'm getting chills just thinking and talking about this because I'm telling you straight up, this is the stuff that we need to send the message to these corporations. Yo, we want the DCEU, we want Black Adam, we want Henry Cavill, we want The Rock, we want Superman from what Zack Snyder was giving us because the hype is still there, the interest is still there, the demand is still there, and it's like, yo, like these companies, that's why they're after WB because they know what they're gonna do, and from what they want to do, I don't care if they want to do something new. The thing is, just bring back everybody that was already there, because it's interesting. Now let me speculate. Now you got me fired up. You know why I say that? Because look, if you have what James Gunn's doing with Creature Commandos and Peacemaker, how it's screwed up everything. Literally, everything's a mess right now, right? and he pretty much isn't doing anything with what's her name, Amanda Waller. What could be happening? No season 3 for Peacemaker. Now this is going to affect Creature Commando season 2. You get what I'm saying? It's all a mess right now. It just gets worse every single time. And that's just showing to the studio, look, this guy's incompetent. He's not able to run, DC Studios. So why is he still in charge? I think they're just waiting and riding the wave until finally his contract ends, and they're not going to renew it. And this is what I said. This is what I said before we even heard about this bidding. I was like, they're gonna have to probably ride it until the end of the contract and say, yo, until the contract expires, they're not gonna renew it, you know? And if they don't renew it, they can cancel whatever projects he's working on right now. And it's gonna come into play the same like Batgirl. They just axe everything and they're like, you know what? We're not doing anything with that anymore. And that's it, like it could benefit and stuff like that. If the Snyderverse were restored, it will most likely be part of the DC Elseworlds. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, they could have done that from the beginning, but they just chose not to. Yeah, Andy Muschietti blaming the fans and general audience for the Flushes box office failure. Yeah, excuses. That's all it is. You think Paramount buying WB is more likely than WBD split? Yeah, could happen. The post on Instagram of Zach have so much comments in 4 hours. How much is it at right now? Let me know what's the numbers at, because I haven't seen it yet. I know I saw it. I think it was like when I saw it, probably was like a few hours ago, like 9,000 or something like that. I know for sure how much is it's grown since then. These studios mess up with the film and characters, but blame fans. Yeah, that's the problem. They always like to blame the fans. It's like, oh, it's the fans' fault. Come on, instead of being on our side, they just turn against us and stuff. Team Rat 7, what's up? Appreciate you for watching. Also. Let's see. Breaking news. Universal Hollywood is testing a new Fast and Furious roller coaster right now. Nice, nice. That's what they should have done. But I think what Universal I think just dropped the ball when it came to the ride of the Fast, because I'm gonna be honest with you, when that ride came out, it was garbage. Like you stand in line for like what is it, like an hour? I'm exaggerating, but you stand in line for a long time. You go in, you're still in line, you get on this little like trolley looking thing, and it literally goes around. You can look at it as like that's it, like that's the whole ride. And at the end, literally it gets good when it jumps off the ramp, but you have screens on the side, and it's literally like what, less than 20 seconds. I'm like, damn, that's it. That's what the whole ride should have been. But roller coasters, if that's what they're gonna do, I'm so tired of roller coasters, honestly. Like they could do so much with all the technology with the screens and stuff, like how they did with Kong. That ride is amazing. Like freaking Kong. To me, Kong is better than the Jurassic World ride. Just because I don't know, I feel it much more fun. It feels like you're really in the jungle with those big screens, and you see the dinosaurs, and you see the Kong and stuff like that. I'm like, damn, that's how all the rides should be. They get your imagination much more better and stuff instead of a roller coaster. And you could prevent so many accidents. I mean, look at the one that just happened recently and stuff. Unfortunately, that's what happens with that type of technology. Um, Superman versus Black Adam can happen. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And it's going to happen. That's the thing. I know it's going to happen, because you're going to tell me that whoever buys WB, they're going to sit on it and they're going to be like, yeah, we ain't going to do nothing with it. Yeah, right. They're ready to make something happen with that. The DCU mess makes Marvel look good for dumping gun. Yeah. Yeah, big time. I applaud Marvel and Disney for firing James Gunn. Straight up. I applaud that. Shin Batman 84, what's up? Andy Muschietti is a coward director who allowed himself being pushed around by Gunn and Hamada. Yeah, I don't take Andy Muschietti serious, honestly. Like to me, I don't take him serious. And I know he's doing that whole thing with It and Perry or whatever the hell it is that he's doing now. I just don't feel him, honestly. When it comes to his work and stuff like that. Unfortunately, Marvel's a mess too. Yeah, it's a mess. They created this mess and they allowed it with all that woke stuff, all that agenda and race swap and all that dumb stuff that nobody cares about, honestly. Let's see. Andy Muschietti calls all the best scene. Oh, he cut all the best scenes. James Gunn decision. Yeah, it's probably James Gunn behind it. Henry Cavill, Superman, Ben Affleck, Batman, Nightmare, calling Flash. Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like, that footage has to be out there. It straight up has to be out there, And in due time, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see it. What do you think of Paramount shutting down TV? Good, finally. It's about damn time, honestly. This is one of the strategies of Paramount buying Warner Brothers Discovery. Maybe, who knows? You know, who the hell really watches MTV anymore? You know, I stopped watching that probably maybe in the what, like 2002 maybe, you know. And I'm surprised that it's lasted this long. I mean, we have YouTube, let's be real. Who the hell's like, oh, I'm watching MTV, you know? It's like, and even the MTV, you know, events that they used to do, they were badass back then. They were badass. I'm gonna be real with you, I used to love watching those shows, you know, from MTV. I mean, you got hot women. Yo, like, I'm a dude, I like that. You get what I'm saying? They had beautiful women on there and the beach, you know. You got everybody just chilling and vibing, and made you want to go out there and stuff like that. And you know, it's like, damn, what the hell happened? Then it just went into that whole woke era, like I told you, and look at the mess where we are right now and stuff like that. So, you know, that's why I'm glad that all this is changing finally. You know, we just need this industry to change and get better. And that's what they're doing. They're fixing it. It's gonna take a long time. It ain't gonna be overnight, but they're trying to get their act together. Kevin Feige blaming James Gunn for the MCU's decline. It's also his fault for hiring Gunn and listening to him for making second in charge of MCU was a bad move. Yeah, big time. I agree with you. You told your coworkers the day that they announced Gunn and Peter Safran as president. I said, why would they hire a director who does Marvel to the Marvel formula? Yeah, yeah. But then they say hire Joss Whedon. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's the biggest mistake that Warner Brothers with this current regime has been doing. In the previous one with the Hamadaverse, everything was like, oh, let's hire somebody from Marvel. Yo, they need to stop that. They really, really need to stop that. Jack, what's up? Let's see. Do you remember playing Bully Game from Rockstar? Yeah, yeah, I remember that. I know they were gonna do a part two, but they never did it. I don't know. I don't think they got to it. I was reading something the other day because of I think because of GTA and stuff like that. So hopefully they, it would be nice if they remake the first one, but I mean, who knows what's gonna happen? And of course, during all those years of the woke era, you know, that wasn't gonna happen just because of you know, all the politics behind it and stuff. Yeah, I saw failure of James Gunn when they announced it, and you were not interested. Yeah, a lot of us were like, nah, this is bad. This is gonna be bad. Uh, you were talking about Terminator the other day. Salvation was badass. Yeah, that's a good ass movie. You have a lot to say, but I'll just say James Cameron's the only one who could finish the Terminator saga. Let Zach finish his story. Exactly, I agree with you. I truly agree with you. That's what they need to do. You know, they need to let these directors do what they were doing, and that's it. Finish it, and then move on to whatever the hell you want. You know, this is why it's no surprise that Michael Bay is gonna return and they're gonna do another movie with him. You know, even if it's new, like I said, you know, they could do the same thing with Zach once they restore the Snyderverse. They could do something new. That's cool. Nothing is bad with that. You know, as long as they leave the director that started it all, that's what it is. You get what I'm saying? So if them bringing, meaning Paramount brings in Michael Bay, and they want to continue with the Bayverse and the Bayformers, as long as Michael Bay's directing it, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what route they want to go. As long as he's the one directing, the Bayverse lives. That's it. Same thing with Zack Snyder. As long as Zach is back with however and whatever vision they want, yo, let him do his thing. That's it, you know? Because right now, unfortunately, we're in the gun era. This is the gun verse, all right? Because James Gunn's in charge. When we had, you know, Christopher Nolan, that was the Nolan verse. When we had Tim Burton, that was the Burton verse. When we had Andy Muschietti, unfortunately, that was the Muschietti verse, if you want to call it, with the Flush. And you know, and he's doing it, so you know that all falls under it. I just speak in general when I say, you know, that's the director's vision and whatever the hell they're doing. So it doesn't imply just for DC, it's just in general, you know. So when it comes down to those terms, same thing with Matt Reeves, you know, the Reeves verse. And you know, it'll pass though. You know, it's gonna change. MTV's main channel is not shutting down, just select sister channels. That's good. I mean, they had to cut and reduce so they could save, I guess, you know, on I guess the company and stuff like that, especially the ones that are not watching and things like that. So it's the best thing that they could do in business. You're cool with whoever buys WB. Get rid of James Gunn as long as it's not Disney. God, please no, not Disney. Disney cannot acquire WB. They can't. There's legal laws. I've spoken about this many times. Disney cannot own everything in the entertainment business. It just can't. You just can't. The same thing because, well, here in the States there's laws that prevent that. You know, you have to have competition. That's why you see there's so many burger places. You can't have just one burger joint. You can't just have one gas station. You cannot have just one ice cream shop. You can't have just one brand of shoes. No, you have to have competitive. You know, I forgot what it's called, but it's something with competitive, meaning like if you're gonna sell ice cream, there has to be another competitor, you know, just because it creates, I guess, drama in the industry, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, well, I go here. Oh, I go over there." The same thing with Marvel and DC. In the end, you can all rest and be 100% sure that Disney will never own DC. They would love to, but they will never own it because there's laws that prevent them from actually making that move. Guns films definitely has a lot of dry sarcasm, spontaneous humor, and weird characters, music, which is cool. But for Marvel, DC's a total different tone from the ground up. Yeah, exactly. You know that's well said. With Marvel, it works. The Marvel formula. You know, the old Marvel formula. The new formula, it hasn't been working for them. That's why it's a mess. And this is why they're being forced to bring in the Russo brothers. You know, all these actors, actresses. They're gonna build up massive to Secret Wars. Doomsday and Secret Wars are gonna go all ham. I'm telling you right now. The only way that WB, you know, can go up against DC versus Marvel again, it's not with James Gunn because we already see that with James Gunn is a joke. You really telling me you're telling me that with James Gunn in charge, they're gonna be able to go up against Marvel? That's a joke. People are not even watching Peacemaker. That's telling you everything. You think people are gonna watch? You imagine? Just imagine this. The same way that freaking James Gunn opened the door to the Dimension X, whatever that shit's called, World. I don't know what that shit's called. Anyways, it's a disaster, right? Now all of a sudden, you imagine the Justice Gang. It sounds terrible. The Justice Gang versus Avengers, Secret War, or Doomsday, whatever the hell they want to call it. Come on, come on. That doesn't even sound good. The Justice Gang. Come on, like what is this? What set you claim? Like it'll be ridiculous. Now you know what does sound, and it could go up against the Avengers straight up. Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. Zack Snyder's Justice League 3. Oh damn, that name alone has an impact. You get what I'm saying? We're not talking about Justice League. Now we're talking about the real deal Justice League from Zack Snyder. We already see that Darkseid took over. Okay, in Marvel, Thanos, he succeeded, but he didn't take over yet. And they're bringing back King Thanos for Secret Wars, or is it Doomsday? One of those two. I've been reading and stuff like that. So they're trying to set that up massive. How do you go up against that? Plain and simple. Bring back Zack, and that's it. Continue it, and do Justice League 2 and 3 from Zack Snyder. That's it. That's how you go up against Marvel in the MCU. And the best part about that is, you know what? Marvel doesn't have the blueprints to copy from Zack Snyder because nobody, none of us, right? None of us know, not even the studio knows what Zack Snyder was cooking up with, not the original plans, with what he did after the Snyder Cut. Think about that. Let that marinate. Think about that. Nobody, only but Zack and probably, people that are close to him, but I think it's just him. Nobody knows what's on the ideas, on the new concepts, on whatever the hell he's trying to do for Justice League 2 and 3. Nobody. Everything ends for now. It's on pause with the epilogue scene. All right? We're in the timeline now. Zack Snyder has opened the door fully to the Nightmare timeline. And me as a fan, I need to know. I need to know what the hell's happening. Why? Why everything? Why? This is what I want to know as a fan. Like, that's what I've been talking about and I've been fighting for. This is why I say they need to just continue it. You can't just, oh yeah, we're just going to ignore that. Hell no. We're talking about Darkseid. This dude has taken over the world. He has Superman in his control. Like there's so many things that are just there, like floating, and it's like, hold on. I want to know what's gonna go on. I want to know how is Zack gonna end up doing this. You get what I'm saying? So it's just everybody's curiosity now is even more interested. So in due time, like I said, it's gonna happen. Let's see. Comic book cast 2 talks about he wants Batman Brave and Bold, the Rainbow Gotham City and Silly Gotham. Yeah, he's a shill. He's a shill, honestly, but whatever. Let's see, Gun ruin Flash by adding stuff like babies. Yeah, big time. Taking out Keaton, drunk simp Aquaman. Yeah, exactly. It was a mess. That's why Andy Muschietti is just like James Gunn. He's just generic. All they care about is just stupid type of filmmaking and stuff. That's what they should stick to. Those type of movies. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I would prefer James Gunn directing a comedy. That's what he's good at. He's good at making comedies. He should stick to movies like Scary Movie, Scooby Doo, like those type of like stupid ass movies. Like that. That's what he should be focused on and stuff. Raheem, what's up? Andy, the director of The Flash. Yeah, blame Snyder fans for the fail of DC Studios. Yeah, exactly. It's showing you. You know what's funny? But think about this. The director himself, Andy Muschietti, right? He blames us, the Snyder fans, right? But you know what's funny? The joke's on him because Todd McFarlane and DC say, let's re-release Ben Affleck's Batman with the Bat Cycle as a two-pack as a Walmart exclusive. All right, there you don't want to blame the fans, right? You see the hypocrisy of both sides, the studio and, of course, the director. Because it's like, yo, he's trying to defend it, but he's bashing on us, the fans. But meanwhile, WB's like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna repackage those toys and we're gonna resell them because we know that the Snyder fans are still gonna buy it. Oh, when it's convenient, then you need us, right? That's what I'm telling you. In the end, Warner Brothers has to be sold. Period. It has to be sold. No and ifs or buts. Straight up, they need to straight up just completely like yo. They need to like sell that company. Let's see. No Captain Jack Sparrow. No Steve Rogers. No cash. Yeah, yeah. Let me see. Let me see. Damn, I'm backed up on the comments. All right, let me see. Let me try to. All right, Jared Leto's not his fault for Tron. Yeah, it's not his fault. It's just the studio and stuff. Let's see. Boogeyman 80. What? 83. So many possibilities with Snyder. So many stories he could tell, bro. He left the universe open for anything. There's no telling what he has in his notes, bro. Exactly. That's the whole thing. There's so many things that we don't even know, honestly. Let's see. I respect Kiara Knightley. She basically said, "F that woke crap." Yeah, yeah. They're getting tired of it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Let's see. You think Batman Brave and Bold cannot do nothing? Come out just Batman Part Two. That's even if we even make it to there. Because with the way that things are going right now, yeah, people are kind of tired right now. This is why these movies are tanking, and it's not that it's the actors or actresses. It's not that. It's just they're putting crap. And I'm telling you right now, this is what I think. This is just my personal opinion. I think that Street Fighter movie is going to tank next year. That movie, I think low key, they're gonna ruin that Street Fighter movie. Nothing that's coming out from that movie has impressed me. And I'm not easy to please in the sense of making a movie. It's like I'm not gonna be extra picky, but you know what I am gonna be picky on? Those characters need to look on point. Not exactly like the video game, because you could customize and make them look a lot better, but make them look believable. Like I don't want to. I'm telling you right now, I cannot wait to see how ridiculous Jason Momoa is going to look as Blanca. Oh my god, I can't wait to see the memes when that comes out. Straight up, like I don't know. I don't know. I just don't believe in that Street Fighter movie, honestly. That's just how I feel. Do you think Matt Reeves try best get Deathstroke and Batman 2? I think Matt Reeves is just trying to steal the idea from what Zack Snyder wanted to do with Ben Affleck's Batman. Straight up, that's all he's doing. He's just doing it for clout. He's just trying to get attention so people could be like, "Oh, they're going to put Deathstroke finally," like, "Oh, whatever." That's what I think is going to happen. But in the end, I don't think it's gonna happen. Honestly, I don't think so. They're better off just doing the Court of Owls that they really wanted to do and stuff like that. Because, them bringing in Deathstroke, nah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Honestly, and especially now with James Gunn still, while he's there, he's gonna allow that. Because James Gunn's not gonna allow Matt Reeves to take all the shine, and that's what's happening right now. Matt Reeves is taking all the shine. And James Gunn must be jealous about that. And it's like we know how his ego is. Aquaman was filmed after Snyder left. The tone also doesn't align with Snyder. Do you think is in the Snyderverse? Yeah. All right. Look, real quick. I've spoken about that many times, Tommy. Uh, yes and no. All right. Yes, it's a different tone. Yes, it's going a different route. But and yes, it's still connected to the Snyderverse. Now, is it now where does the no fall under? Like yes and no. That's what I'm saying. It's a 50-50. They wanted to go the whole Marvel formula, right? Bright, colorful, and it worked. It worked. For Aquaman, let's be real, it worked. All right. That movie was good. I like it. The first one's better than the second one. Second one's still enjoyable. It's much more bright, much more colorful and stuff like that. But I expect that for Aquaman just because, it's his standalone film. James Wan wanted to do that. That was the director's vision. Cool. It worked. For that they made the $1 billion. Now, what helped that movie? Justice League. All right. Let's be real. Justice League came out. Time passed a few months and then people were hungry because that was, I think, around December when it came out. So people were like, yo, I want to go see it. Of course, you got all these thirsty women You know, they're like, oh, it's Jason Momoa without a shirt and tattoos. Let's go see him. So, you know, they probably watched the movie. You know, they all got soaked, if you get what I'm saying. And that movie made money, you know. But what James Wan was doing is that he was consulting Zack Snyder with the original blueprints that Zack had for Aquaman. So you can see the difference. The first movie to the second movie. Same thing with Patty Jenkins, the first Wonder Woman. It's a Patty Jenkins movie, but she was consulting Zack Snyder. How do we do it? What do you think? What do you suggest? So he was giving points to her, tips and points and stuff like that. And look at how good that movie is. So two movies with Zack Snyder compared to two movies without the guidance of Zack Snyder. We could see it with Wonder Woman 84. That movie was trash, you know? And we could see it with Aquaman 2. I was like, what the hell? You know, like you can clearly see that the first Aquaman, the second one are a big difference. And you can see on the second one, you can clearly see James Gunn giving notes. So you're going to tell me when Orm is eating that roach, that was the director? No, that was James Gunn telling, oh, you know, it'd be funny if he eats a roach because, you know, he's been underwater and, you know, this is new to him. I can only imagine how ridiculous James Gunn must be when he gives these notes. You imagine? How about this character does this and we do that and ha, you know, I can only imagine how the hell and who did James Gunn had to convince and say when he was on filming Peacemaker season 2. Oh, you know what would make this episode better? Oh, we started off with an orgy. Oh, that would get everybody going. Really? And look at what they did. Oh, you know it'd be better? And then he tells his wife, oh, if you and John Cena make out and I film it. You see what I'm saying? Like it's just nuts, man. It's nuts. Like clearly James Gunn doesn't care. You know, we already know that. But it is what it is, you know. But what can we do? Let's see. You're more curious than anything about Street Fighter movie. Yeah, I want to see the trailer. They have to fully convince us. At least for me, I don't know how to feel, man. Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. Let's see. John made Marvel dark with less humor, and he was pushed out of Marvel. Yeah, remember what he did with Iron Man? Yeah, yeah, and I like that tone. I mean, look at Civil War. You know, like Civil War for what it is to me, it's kind of dark. It's not like what Marvel is after that. You know, all bright, colorful, and cheerful. I mean, dark in the sense that it's much more. I feel it much more mature. Like Marvel was maturing. They were like, you know what? Let's go down the serious path, you know. And then Winter Soldier came out. That movie was straight up dark in the sense of like, it doesn't mean that it has to be depressing and stuff. When I say dark, it's just more mature. You know, it's like on Punisher level. Like, yo, they're taking this serious. You know, and I like that. I like that they were doing that. Thunderbolts didn't sell me because I was like, well, you have all these movies that came out and they're bright, colorful, they're happy. You could tell that's the Marvel formula. And all of a sudden now you want to go dark. You know, it kind of started going real dark, and I didn't even watch it. Doctor Strange, I guess, the second one, I guess. I don't know. I'm not into Doctor Strange, and I was like, yo, this is a little too much. I was like, this doesn't even feel like it no more. I was like, to me, I was like, yo, this has gotten a little bit too out of hand. You get what I'm saying? They were getting too out of control with what the hell they were doing. And then what they did with Thunderbolts, you know, like they really lost me as a fan, you know, Marvel, in the sense of, yo, you guys have no idea what you're doing. When they released Thunderbolts on a Friday, and then Monday morning they were like, no, we're rebranding everything. We're gonna call it the New Avengers. Oh, what? Like, how did that happen? How the hell? You guys have been marketing this movie for like 2 years or so, and you all of a sudden just gonna, yo, we're gonna rename it to the New Avengers. I'm like, what? Like, yo, like, nah, man. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just they have no sense of guidance of what they're doing and stuff like that. So, who knows? Who knows? You know. Let's see. James Gunn want to touch Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy, put DC in a mess. Yeah, he's gonna probably make him real goofy and stuff. Jeff Johns is the real person to blame the decline of comic book movies, especially with Marvel and DC, because he was mad with Nolan choosing Zack Snyder to the head of DC. Yeah, yeah, I know he took it personal and stuff like that. So, I'm glad that he's not around anymore. You have a question? How does 50 Cent look to you as Bar Rock? Oh man, my laughter says everything. I saw that picture, that black and white picture that 50 put up, you know, and I'm like, nah, man. Just because he has the haircut, that doesn't mean nothing. I'm telling you straight up, when I don't, oh man, I just don't know how to feel about that. 50 Cent's gonna be 50 Cent in that movie, straight up. It's gonna be what is it, Balrog? Balrog. He's gonna be 50 Cent, period. You know, because it's 50 Cent, you know how 50 Cent talk and stuff, you know what I'm saying? GG Unit, you know, that's who he is. That's oh, this movie's gonna be a mess, honestly. Um, but again, I hope they prove me wrong with the trailer, and I really want to see him talk. I really want to see 50 Cent talk with his character because I'm telling you right now, man, I just can't. I can't take him serious. In his music videos, that's 50 Cent. When he's in an interview, that's still 50 Cent. That's what we're gonna see in the movie too. You know, it's just like John Cena. John Cena's John Cena in every movie. He's Peacemaker. You know, in the Fast Saga, that's that one character. You know, The Rock, the same thing. 50 Cent, it's gonna be 50 Cent throughout all this movie and stuff. I really hope they do it good, but I don't know. You're still gonna see Mortal Kombat 2. Yeah, that I'm gonna see for sure. Street Fighter. It would be great if we could see Planet of the Dead. Great ending to the franchise. Yeah, yeah. I know that. I know Zach spoke about that a while ago. That he does want to go back to it and stuff like that. So we're gonna see. I mean, it's been a while, but then again, he's so busy right now, so he's probably gonna have to put that to the side for now. 50 Cent's Balrog is a bad cosplay. Yeah, man. Damn, man, this is gonna be terrible, honestly. Mike Tyson should have played Balrog. Nah, I don't think so anymore. I mean, in his young days, yeah, but not now no more. You know, like the thing is, like, okay, some of these characters work in the video game, but then again, like I said it, and I'll say it again, not everything has to be live action. Like, now that we're talking about video games and live action and stuff, I'm glad that I think I'm not sure if it's the writer, whoever it is from K-pop Demon Hunters, they were asked, they were like, "Hey, do you want to do a live action movie?" And they're like, "No, no." They're like, "No, no, that we don't see our characters nowhere near real life." They're like, "Hell no." In other words, they don't want to bring those characters of K-pop Demon Hunters into live action. And I was like, "Damn, if I was there, I would have stood up and bravo, that's how you do it. You do not bring that into live action. You just don't." Sonic with with this dude, what's his name? Jim Carrey and the live action, that's working, you know? And they're doing good. I would have preferred a whole movie like the Super Mario Brothers, all animated and CG and stuff. That to me is like, yo, that's how it should be done. I don't want to see Super Mario brought into the real world. I really don't. As a fan, I don't. Just keep it how it is, animated. That's it. Like not everything has to be live action, and that's what's worrying me about Street Fighter. Street Fighter, let's be real. Just the name alone, screams 90s. Now, why would you make a modern type of Street Fighter? I'm like, you have so much material to work off and pull from. Look at how bad the last Mortal Kombat live action was. It was shitty. It really was. I like that they tried, but when they start bringing characters into the real world and like like if it's really taking place like me as a filmmaker, I'm like, yo, like I know that this is Mortal Kombat. Let's focus on what Mortal Kombat is about. Yes, it's gonna be, it's gonna involve fatalities, it's gonna have all the stuff in the game, okay. But how do we go about it? Stick to what the games do. Stick into the outworld. Stick into what's from that realm. You don't need to take everything and bring it into our world. Oh, they're attacking now New York City, or they're attacking Chicago, or they're attacking, like this big city. No, man, like enough with that. That's why at the end of the Super Mario Brothers, even though it was a cartoon, I was like, come on, we're gonna do that too. Like they end up in New York and they end up fighting Bowser. I was like, we've seen this way too many times. Every movie does it. Transformers does it. Batman's done it. Avengers do it. It's like Ninja Turtles does it. I'm tired of seeing that. I want to see something done different. Like for example, like if you're gonna do Street Fighter, focus on what Street Fighter is about. They're about fighting in the streets. Literally, when you fight in these, in the stages and stuff, you're literally fighting on the airport with Gao, his background. You're in Brazil fighting Blanca in the jungle, and it's like you have Bison, you have what's Daslam, in India, and you have the other one that's like in the water, in the woods, all this stuff. That's the things that they need to be focusing on. I don't want to see like how they did the one in the 90s where it's like, oh, Cammy and Guile, they're straight up working for the military, which I understand they're military characters, but I don't need to see them rolling in with tanks and they're gonna go and fight, freaking Blanca and you got E Honda and like, yo, what the hell? Like this shit just got out of control. You get what I'm saying? It's like focus only on the core characters and don't try to build up to the next one. Just stick to what we know. That's it. Like if the first game only has like 6 characters, stick to those 6 characters. You get what I'm saying? Like I don't want to be seeing a lot of things. Like for example, not since we keep on talking about 50 Cent with Barrog, that character. I personally want to see a backstory to him before he actually appears. How? He's a boxer, he's a trainer. What is it that he's doing? You get what I'm saying? I know that he's a boxer, but open and get my imagination. All right, this dude, he 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 rigs fights. He does things in the underground. You get what I'm saying? Because that's what, when you're playing, that's what it looks like, you know. And the same thing with Blanca. I don't want it to be shitty like in the old movie. It's like, show us why it's gonna be the way that he is. You know, like build that up. See why he gets selected to be the test subject, and he's gonna end up becoming Blanca. Like why him? You get what I'm saying? Like little details like that. It's what builds up, I guess, the character. And then as a fan, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. That's what I loved about what Mortal Kombat did, the last movie with Scorpion and Sub Zero. I love that. You know, like they show you Scorpion with his wife, his kids, and then you see, you know, I think it was the Lin Kuei from Sub Zero, and they attack the village. Just telling you this gives me chills. And I was like, damn, that's the Mortal Kombat I want to see. Like that's the shit that I want to see, because that shit is taking place with the backgrounds. Like if I'm not sure exactly where they're from, like they're from Japan or China, but it gives you that feel, like that authentic feel. Now, when you bring these characters, like when you see Sub Zero in the city, I was like, damn, man, like I don't want to see that. You know, like it just doesn't fit with the tone. Like, stick to what Mortal Kombat is. It's about a tournament, a realm, you know, that opens the portals to all the outworlds and whatever it is with all these characters. Don't bring them into the city. Don't bring them into modern times. Take the characters from modern times and let our characters go into their world. That's what I want to see, and that's what they need to do with Street Fighter also. But you know, we'll see. We'll see what's gonna happen and how they're gonna do and stuff like that. So we'll see. Yeah, Cody Rhodes as Guile. That's, I think that's bad casting. Also, I agree with you. Yeah, movies with a small cast of characters make the story more consistent. Marvel tried with the MCU and the Eternals, but it had too many characters, so the story was all over the place. Yeah, big time. Look, it's okay to have 100 characters. It worked with Endgame. It worked with what it was, Infinity War, but they built towards it, you know. And when you have one movie, especially what we've seen with James Gunn's Superman, that this is a Superman movie. Dude literally went off the radar and just said, you know what? We're throwing everybody in this movie besides Superman. And then the way that he portrays Superman is like, yo, you made him like a wuss. He's straight up a puss in this movie. Like, he's getting his ass beat from beginning to end. And when he's in the final battle against Lex, all he's doing is straight up talking to him. He's like, oh, but this is how I feel. We should stop and blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, just kick his ass. You're Superman. You know, like, why are you even talking? Like, what's the point? You're Superman, but you're just talking with him? I'm like, it doesn't make sense. But again, it's just the creator, you know, the creative side of the director has to come into play and get your imagination. That's what I'm telling you. When you see a movie and in the first 15 seconds, 30 seconds, max a minute, it doesn't get your attention, then you know this is bad. This is bad, you know? When I saw James Gunn Superman, I went in with an open mind. I was like, let me give him the benefit of the doubt and let me see what this whole reboot, let me see what this whole reboot was necessary. I already knew when I saw it, I was like, this is gonna be bad. I was like, this shit's gonna be bad. Because you already see that it's throwing you in there. It's okay to start off a movie and it's throwing you without explaining why and stuff like that. But the way that James Gunn did it was straight up like making a movie on Movie Maker. Like that bad. Like, oh, we're just gonna put this, we're gonna put that, and you know, people are gonna know. I don't know. Not everybody's gonna know the history and the backstory of Superman. You have to think about the fans that don't know about that. They're watching Superman. They're not here to be like, oh, you already know the backstory of it and stuff like that. What? No, I have no idea. You know, not everybody's knowing about this character stuff. But what he did, yeah, he straight up, he completely destroyed it. Mr. Terrific over Superman in his own movie. Yeah, you know, Mr. Terrific was all right. You know, like he was taking the role serious, and you could see that they were doing something with him and stuff like that. But what they did with Superman, yeah, I was like, man, that's straight up. It was bad. It was really bad. Imagine if Henry Cavill Superman was there instead of David that scene. Yeah, that would have been a game changer. A lot of people were speculating. They were thinking that Ultraman was gonna be Henry Cavill. I'm glad that didn't happen, honestly, because I'm telling you right now, like the uproar that would have come from that completely. White people shipping David Superman and Robert Batman. I'm like, yeah, yeah, completely. I know a lot of people, they they're trying to, you know, I guess force it so fans get accepted and stuff like that. But a lot of people are not eating that up. Real talk, honestly. It's I don't know. That's why I'm so sick and tired of reboots. I'm tired of that. And I think that DC dropped the ball big time. How? Because look, if you're gonna get away from Zack Snyder, but you want to do his quote unquote dark type tone or whatever the hell you're trying to do, and you're trying to have one universe, make it be one, and do it right. Look, when the Batman came out, right? We were all speculating. Oh, Joaquin's Phoenix Joker is gonna be part of that universe, and what happened? It wasn't. They had the same tone, they had the same type of camera, they had the same style, but it was ruined once you see when Joker, when he's what's his name? I don't remember right now. Something Affleck, and then he was like talking to Bruce when he was a kid, and I was like, damn, they could connect that, and then later show as time has passed, and this Joker could be part of this universe or do something. But did they do that? No, they dropped the ball again. They dropped the ball. I'm like, you have this amazing Joker. He's good. Let's give it to him. The second movie was trash. First movie, Joaquin Phoenix did good. And at the end, how it's setting up and it's building up, yo, chaos has finally unfolded. Joker is literally influencing other people to become a Joker type. The city's all being destroyed and stuff like that. And you would think Todd Phillips on the second film would have been like, you know what? We're gonna open the second film where it left off. There's chaos. It's completely messed up everything. All right. That's the cause and the effect. Now explain to us what's happened. Now you fully have created the Joker in this universe. What are we gonna see? No, let's not do all of that. We're gonna go with a musical. What? Completely? What the hell? Like capital WTF? That's why that movie tanked because it was a musical. He didn't care about it. If he wasn't gonna care about it, he should have just said, you know what? I'm not coming back. I don't care how much money you're offering me, because that's what Todd Phillips did. He was like, I'm not gonna come back for a second film, and he straight up he went back on his word. He should have just said, you know what? I'm not gonna come back for it, and just screw it. That's it. If somebody else wanted to do it, let them be. But no, he came and he straight up to me. I'm like, yo, you just ruined your career, because it's like, damn, you put out that. It's like if you really wanted to get at WB, you didn't have to make the movie. Period. You could just been like, nah, I'm good. Like, oh, we're gonna give you this much. Nah, I'm good. Like I'm not coming back for that movie. And they would have been stuck because they would have been like, damn, we want to do a Joker too, but it has to be in tone and whatever. They know that it wasn't gonna happen, and then he ended up doing it. So to me, I'm like, yo, he ruined it. He completely dropped the ball with it. Um, what do you think about Evil Dead Burn? I've never seen it, honestly. I haven't seen Evil Dead in probably, man, probably in like over like 20 years. Like, I don't know. It's just a franchise that doesn't really get my attention. I probably saw the maybe first three, maybe years ago, but I don't know. It's just not my type of horror movie, if you want to say, and stuff like that. Let's see. James Gunn fanboys still whining and crying. Yeah, that's all they do. They straight up. Uh, Shin. Yeah. The those type of people are the ones that are straight up. Trying to still promote. David and Robert and stuff like that with Batman and Superman. It completely, yeah, it's no words. Yeah, Todd made Joker 2 out of greed. Yeah, and his greed, look at where it cost him, literally. Because that to me, as a filmmaker, it just makes me see it as, damn, you just straight up destroyed your career, because people are gonna be looking at what did you put out last. Oh, you're the one that made that movie. Yeah, that's not good. You get what I'm saying? Your resume speaks for yourself, and you want to build the resume. You don't want to just pile things and be like, oh, I'm proud of making Joker 2. Would you be proud of making Joker 2? I know I wouldn't. I'll be embarrassed. I'll be like, damn, I don't even want to put that on my resume, just because it was so terrible. It was just, that movie was so bad. Like, that movie is all over the place. It would have been best if he would have made that movie and said, you know what? This was all just a dream. It was all a dream. That's it. It was all in his mind. And dude's literally locked up in Arkham Asylum, or some type of psychiatric, place or whatever. And that's it. Just leave it there, like end his character, his story with that. It was all in his mind. That's it. The whole thing was all his mind for the second film. And that's it. Let it be. But I don't know. This WB, it's not hard to oversee something, especially when you have the product, the characters, the world is already established and stuff like that. You know what's the hardest part on making anything? And I tell you, and I'm speaking as a creator myself, is coming up with something. Once it's already established, it's there. But coming up with something, like for example, like me with my characters, like I already have my official character, the Rebel Defender. That's the main character. On this story, the hardest part was like, how do you come up with the character, coming up with the name? What is he doing? Why is he doing these things? The simple who, what, when, where, why. Those things can be hard. Now, when you're trying to turn that into a movie, a live action, not only does that come into play, you have more questions that are going to come into play. It's like the same thing how, like I said with Todd Phillips, you did the Joker, all right, and you ended it. All right, dude's in Arkham Asylum, and he takes out the lady that he's talking to, the therapist or whatever, and then he's getting chased by the guards, and the movie ends. Okay, cool. What I would have done on the second film is start that movie with chaos. All right, that's where it left off. Show you the point of view of now how people are being influenced by the Joker. He's locked up. Show the inmates trying to get him out of there, and say, "Hey, we want you out because we look up to you." Because of course everybody has their point of view, and start the movie from there and have this established Joker because now he's officially the Joker. That's what everybody's referring to him in the movie, and just go from there, go ham, like go all out. But it looks like WB's is like they're scared of that, and it's like every time WB creates something that's good, they did it with 89 Batman, 92 Batman with Michael Keaton. They were dark. They did the same thing with Christopher Nolan. Those movies were they're mature, they're serious, and it just pushes it. And they did the same thing with Todd Phillips, the first movie. And what the hell happens? Like, oh, we're not gonna go with that strong type of character. You should have never done the first movie in the first place. That's how I see it. I'm like, he's a psychotic character. This dude doesn't care about anything. And I don't know. It's just I have no idea. That's why, like I said, in my comic, in my universe, what I'm doing, like I'm not holding back. Like these characters are doing what they have to do. And like I'm just not holding back, and that's the part that a lot of companies in this entertainment business have forgotten. Fans like DC for what DC used to be. It's always been dark. It's always been dark. Since '89 Batman, everything has changed. Like that changed the whole take on Batman. And it's just gotten more and more mature at times. But every time WB puts out something, it's like somebody says, "No, that's too strong. We can't go that way." I mean, that's what these characters are. Like, why are you gonna just censor them when that's what these characters are? All the characters and all the villains from Batman are extremely dark. Like uh, what's his name, Victor Zsasz. Like, do I really need to go into details about him? We already know Professor Pig. Like, these are characters that are completely dark. Like, there's no, oh, we're gonna make them PG-13. You can't do that PG-13. How? Why? And that's where Sony screwed up with Carnage when they did that Spider-Man. I mean, not Spider-Man movie, when they did the Venom, Let There Be Carnage. And I'm like, yo, you're gonna bring in Carnage and you're literally not gonna have him, R-rated. I mean, they dropped the ball on that. Morbius is another character too that should be R-rated. But again, oh, we're gonna censorize it. What? Why? Why even bother with these characters? But it's how I guess Hollywood is and stuff like that. Who knows? Who knows? You think he made Joker 2 to basically prank the audience? I don't think he ever wanted to make a sequel until the studio demanded it. Yeah, and again, money talks, so that's why he pretty much did it. Joker 2, that movie was just an experiment from NASA. Joker, yeah, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Foley, a Dukes, whatever the hell call it. Yeah, that movie was crap, honestly. It's really, really bad. I just call it Joker 2. See what I'm saying? Like, that's another thing, too. Like, what's so hard? Just continue what's already established. Joker, Joker 2. Why did they have to put that title that probably half of the people can't even pronounce? I can't pronounce that shit. What is that, French? I'm not French. The fuck do I look like pronouncing that? Folio do, whatever that shit is called. I don't know. You don't see that in the everyday language. Now you call that Joker 2. All right, let's go, baby. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's it. That's what I love about manga and how they do their stuff. But then, when it comes to like movies and everything, oh, this movie with a title and a subtitle and another title. It's like, yo, just get to the point. Just what part is this? That's what I like about with Transformers with Michael Bay. You got, Transformers. You got Revenge of the Fallen. Then you have Dark of the Moon. Boom, first trilogy. Then you got Transformers 4, Age of Extinction. Then The Last Night. You know, like okay, and they all connect. They all make sense. You know. But when you have things like this, like with a subtitle and another subtitle, it's like, yo, like this is just way too much, you know. It's like it's not hard, it's easy, you know, it's very easy. Jim, what's up? Restore Snyderverse, you already know. Whatever reason why Todd made Joker 2, he played himself. Big time, big time. Let's see, Venom versus Carnage was such a disappointment. Yeah, it really was, you know. I think it would have helped if they would have thrown in Spider-Man, but I mean, for what that movie is, yeah, they really dropped the ball. Clayface will be rated R. At least I'm not gonna watch it. I will be. It will be the worst DCU movie for the first time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not even looking forward to it, honestly. I call it Jokester 2. Fumble a douche. Oh man, yeah, that's hilarious right there. You know, but this is what Hollywood is. You know, it's like they have the money, they have the teams, they have everything, they have the fan base, but they don't know how to create the content. That's the thing. It's like you have everything, but you don't know how to do it. You know, WB has the characters, they have everything, but they don't have the right person in charge. When they had the right person, they kept on getting in the way with Zack Snyder and David Ayer. Oh, let's do this, let's do that. We can't do this and we can't do that. Damn, what the hell we can do? Oh no, we have to do a copy and paste of Marvel. Damn for that. I just might as well go over there and work with them. Like it just doesn't make sense, you know? And it like even Marvel is struggling, you know, like and Sony is where they are, plain and simple, because they're just complete morons. Like, how do you make all the villains of Spider Man without Spider Man? It doesn't make sense, right? That's like saying, hey, look, you know what? You want a chocolate cake? Yeah, but it's not chocolate. It doesn't have chocolate. Then why the hell are you gonna call it chocolate cake? You get what I'm saying? You give my hopes up. You know, it's like, yo, straight up. You know, it's like what was his name? Big Worm said in Friday. You know, playing with my money is like playing with my emotions. That's the same thing. You know, like playing with these characters is like playing with my emotions. Cause how the hell you gonna tell me, oh, we're gonna do all these villains from Spider-Man, and in Morbius, we have a poster in the background, and everybody was speculating, oh, that's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. Is it gonna be connected with this universe? Oh, but we got Tom Holland, but what about Andrew Garfield? Sony completely said, you know what? Here's the ball. I'm not even gonna catch it. That shit fell, and it just complete disaster. That's why I'm glad that Sony is where they are right now. You know, same thing with Marvel, same thing with DC. You got all these big, famous, iconic characters, and you're so worried about doing a freaking crossover. A crossover? I don't give a shit about a crossover. How about you give me Spider-Man versus Venom? That's easy. That's it. That's all. Spider-Man versus Carnage. That's it. What's so hard? You know? Oh no, but we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. We're gonna do Madam Web. You want to do my all right. So you want to tell me you want to do Madam Web, right? But you won't do the Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield and he's ready to go? What's make it make sense. Make it make sense. You have Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. You never introduced Venom, but you have Tom Hardy and you have Venom. You know what's easy? 1 plus 1 equals 2. Now, if you put in Andrew Garfield versus Tom Hardy's Venom, guess what you're gonna create? You're gonna create money. You're gonna create success, and you're gonna create something that people are gonna want to watch because people like Venom. He's already had his first movie established. We already have 2 films with Andrew Garfield as the Amazing Spider-Man. Both films have the same tone. They're both dark in the sense of camera lighting and the worlds and stuff that's dark, like it's more mature. It's not like how Marvel on that bullshit with the colorful and brightful and stuff like that. It has the tone. They both fit together. Morbius was the same thing. Oh no, but here comes dumbass Sony and said, you know what, nah, we're not gonna do that, we're gonna do something else. Then why the hell are you gonna tease at the end of I think it was at the end of Morbius. I don't remember. I think it was at the end credit scene of Morbius that it shows him talking with Michael Keaton's Vulture, and they mentioned Spider-Man. I'm like, what? Now is when you want to do that? Like, you should have done that from the beginning while you were going to create this universe. Madam Web tanked because it didn't have Spider-Man. What is it? Venom 3 didn't do as good as the first 2, especially the first ones, because they didn't have Spider-Man. Like, how the hell you're selling lies to the audience and people are catching on? That's why people are tired of it. And when you have all these things, it's like, what the hell y'all really doing? It's like it's not hard It's not hard to create all this. You think Sony's contract with Marvel prevents them from using Spider-Man in a non-MCU live action film? It could be. It could be. But what I think, this is what I think. Let's be real. Like, yes, I see that point of view, but let's just look at another point of view. I mean, Sony owns, yes, the rights to them. So I get what you're saying. So it's kind of putting me in a situation where it's like, all right, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Maybe they did do a contract for that exclusive where, when Spider-Man and stuff with the movie rights. Sony, look, the thing is, see how messy it is to even think about it. In the end, Disney just wants Spider-Man back. They're trying to do everything that they can to screw over Sony. So eventually, Sony's like, you know what? We're not making money with these IPs. We have to sell it back. We have to sell it back because we're not making money. Sony should just be like, you know what? Fuck that contract. We're ripping it. We're done. We're starting our own thing. All right, simple. You already created all these villains. I'm gonna tell you right now how you can fix this. I would love for Sony to be hearing this. This is how you fix your shitty universe right now, right? This is very simple. This is not rocket science. Look at how easy it is, all right? Your ingredients are all your characters, right? Your pot is going to be the movie theaters and streaming. What else are you going to use? Very simple. You make a call, you call Andrew Garfield. Hey, Andrew Garfield, we want to do The Amazing Spider-Man 3. You're down? And maybe, depending on what comes from that, we'll do another one. You're in? Yeah, count me in. Let's go. He's already said that he's down. All right, cool. Call Tobey Maguire. Yo, we're going to do another movie. You down? Yeah, all right, cool. Who do you want? Oh, bring in Sam Raimi. All right, cool. We're going to do it. We got you, right? Now you're bringing in, people from nostalgia, if you want to call. And then, look, hey, Tom Holland, we're going to do this, but we're not going to include you because we want to just finish off what was already established there, right? Very simple. Tom doesn't have to be in it. Bring him in like how you did in No Way Home. Have him make a cameo, and that's it. He goes back to the MCU or whatever. Now you just focus on these two actors, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and you call up what's his name, Tom Hardy. Hey, we're gonna be doing a Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. You're down to be Venom in that universe? Hell yeah, let's go. How much you want? Here you go. Boom, done deal. Let's make it happen. Let's announce it. Let's let the fans know. Whatever. Blah blah. Now the fans are gonna be talking about it. Right? You have already established with No Way Home that the multiverse, it's part of it. That's it. Open a damn portal. Have Doctor Strange and whatever the dude's name, the big guy, I can't remember his name, Wong or whatever. Have him just accidentally open another portal and be like, yo, you're needed over here. All right, cool. Because of course, the multiverse bullshit that they already built. And that's going to open the door now where you can have Andrew Garfield with his Spider-Man going up against Tom Hardy's Venom. You could have this guy that, what do you call it? Jared Leto, Morbius. And you don't even have to bring in, what you call it, Michael Keaton as a Vulture. Because that's from, what is it, from Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So he doesn't even have to be present, honestly. Like, yes, they screwed up by doing that little cameo. You can have it where, hey, I'm giving you info, like, I don't know, do something like, word on the street has it that there's multiple Spider-Man. And you're just teasing that, yo, there's a lot of Spider-Man out there in the live action, but they're not debuting yet. You only got 3. So you're focused on Andrew Garfield's universe, and you end it. You do the Amazing Spider-Man 3, and that's it. Done. It'll be complete. That trilogy is done. You don't have to do anything else after that. His arc is complete. Boom. Fans get it. We're all good. We're all happy. What do you do with what's his name? With Andrew Garfield. I mean, not Andrew Garfield. Tobey Maguire. Do the same thing. Do the 4th film that they promised him that he was going to be doing, whatever the hell is going to happen, and let it be. Put them both to the side, and then bring them back, right? Along with the villains, if you want to build up this, what is it, Sinister Six or whatever. And the same thing, too, in The Amazing Spider-Man, bring in Rhino. That's where it left off in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Have him half of the first film, and then half of the second film, literally, with Venom, and leading, if you want, the door open where he's going to come back and we'll see you back again at the end of Doomsday or at Secret Wars. Because we know that he's going to come back for Secret Wars. There's no doubt about that. Now he's denying it, saying he's not going to be there. Yo, we already know that you're going to be there. It's just they can't say that. And that's it. You just build and you finish everything that was already established. And that's it. You won't have to hear anymore from the fans saying, hey, we want another Spider-Man movie. And you try to match everything and fill in the gaps on what was missing. Madam Web was missing Spider-Man. We know that in the cartoons and the comics, he plays a big role. All you have to do is just throw him in there. That's it. And problem solved. You did, it's a done deal. But apparently it's so hard for them to do that. And I don't know. I don't know. I just feel that they need to literally do that in the sense of connecting the pieces that are lost, but they're all scattered. And the same thing with DC. DC has all the pieces. They have Justice League, they have these characters, they have everything, right? So how do you do and bring them back together? Very simple. If James Gunn's opening the doors to all these portals and all these dimensions and whatever the hell is going on, Zack can do the same thing. He did it already with the Snyder Cut when the Flash reset the time and he fixed all the mess that Darkseid had done. So he did it then. He could do it again because he could stop time, move it back, and whatever, go back and adjust it. And the same thing. You want to do the multiverse thing? That's fine. Go back, rewind time like he did in his movie The Flush, and alter the dimensions, the timelines, whatever it is that he wants to do, and make them now fall into place the same way James Gunn's doing. James Gunn's doing the same thing. James Gunn's just toying around with the multiverse without telling you that he's toying around. He's opening doors and going through these I don't know, dimensions into whatever worlds that he's doing, and he's just like, oh, this might be this world, this might be this world, and you get what I'm saying. So it's the same thing. Zack can just be like, yo, the Flash is gonna reset everything, boom, that's it, and go back to where things left off. Erase everything that happened. The Suicide Squad never happens. Peacemaker never happens. Everything that was already established and they were trying to do, none of that happens. As easy as that. You just erase everything. The same way James Gunn is trying to erase it, except James Gunn doesn't know how to erase it. He's just creating more and more of a mess as he leaves. Like he walks through the door, makes a mess, and right behind him you can see the trail. Zack didn't do that. Zack was like, yo, we're gonna really do this right. And he resetted everything. He cleaned all the mess that Joss Whedon left behind. And it was so clean that even Patty Jenkins, she came out, and James Wan, they were like, no, our movies fall into the timeline of what Zack Snyder created with Justice League, not with Joss Whedon. And WB didn't want that. WB is like, oh, no, hell no, we're going to forcefully give you, you're going to accept with Joss Whedon, that's going to be canon. No, it doesn't work like that. And we see that Andy Muschietti tried to connect Ben Affleck's Batman, with the Flying Fox, because of course the Batmobile got destroyed. And then he introduced, the Bat Cycle because we never saw it. So I was like, all right, cool. He's trying to connect it, so I give him credit for that. But how he did it was like, you can clearly see that that's James Gunn behind telling him, hey, here's a note. Here's another note. Oh, we're going to take away this and we're going to bring in George Clooney. Like the mess has been caused. All that is very simple to erase it. All you do is just, call in the Flash, do a quick reset to the time. And the way he did it in the movie, his own movie, that he was screwing up with the worlds, is the same thing. This all falls into this timeline. Boom. That's it. Bada bing, bada boom. Problem solved. That's it. But they don't want to do that. And it's like, it's not that hard. It really isn't. Then the animation movie Justice League Dark Apocalypse War replicates final of Snyderverse. I'm not sure on that. I'm not really sure. Let's see. Sony was interested in making Spider-Man 4 with Tobey, but he'll definitely be in Secret Wars. Yeah, they're both gonna be back. They're all. It's like I've been saying for a while. It's obvious. Look, Secret Wars is going to be massive. It's going to be so massive that I remember reading about it that they're going to do 2 parts to it. In the original plans, they weren't doing Doomsday. They were going to do Secret Wars Part 1 and Secret Wars Part 2. They just recently updated it and said, you know what, we're going to do Doomsday. Because that wasn't in the original plans of the MCU. And what they're doing is, this is why you see that they're bringing out this old cast again. Because they know that Deadpool and Wolverine worked. So that's what they're trying to capitalize. So now they're like, well, if that worked, we could bring in all the same cast from before, the modern, and what we're trying to set up. Wonderful. That's beautiful. I'm not opposing, against that. The only thing is, do it right. Do it right. That's it. What I think is going to happen once we get up to Secret Wars is we're going to have not 1 or 2 or 3 Spider-Man. We're going to probably have a few. We're going to have Miles Morales. We're going to have, all type of them. All type of what we're seeing. Because they're also trying to connect it with the cartoons and stuff. So are we going to see Gwen Stacy also as Spider-Gwen or whatever she's called? Might be. So it's like, who knows? The same thing with the Hulk. That's why now they're trying to get the Hulk, with the rights and everything that has to do from Universal. Because, of course, Disney has to go to Universal. Hey, we want to make another Hulk movie or another movie with the Avengers, and we need the Hulk, so they need to get licenses and stuff like that, and they want to make the Hulk again badass. So apparently he's gonna be appearing now in what is the new Spider-Man movie coming up. So by the time we get to Secret Wars, I think this is just what I'm thinking, speculating. The same thing with Iron Man. They brought in already. What's her name? I can't remember right now. Ironheart. They have War Machine. They have Iron Man. I think in the end, Iron Man with Tony Stark, he's gonna come back by Secret Wars. I think they're just pulling all of us, and they're playing with us in the sense that they know what they're building. And in the end, we're gonna have like multiple versions of Iron Man. Probably that's where Tom Cruise's Iron Man is gonna be. They're probably gonna have, what's her name, Ironheart. They're gonna have the same character, different versions. Hulk, they're gonna have a Hulk, Green Hulk. They're probably gonna have the Red Hulk, like we saw in what is it, what's this, Captain America. They're probably gonna introduce the Gray Hulk, and they're gonna have She Hulk. They're gonna have all of that, just variants of the same character. And we've seen it with Loki. You know how many variants of freaking Loki there was? The kid with the alligator, the older one, the comic book one, like all that. They're gonna bring all that, and they're gonna go all ham when it comes to Secret Wars. That's what I think they're building up to. And if they do that, I'm telling you right now, that is going to be nuts. That's gonna own and dominate this industry again. Because when the Avengers movies came out, they're money makers. They're money makers. And the only way that DC can do the same thing is by doing and continuing with Justice League. That's it. It doesn't matter. They have to continue with the Justice League, you know? Now, it's up to them if they want to bring back Zack, which I know they're going to do it eventually, because how else are they going to make money? They can't do it with James Gunn. It's already proven. They're losing money, you know? And they know that the fan demand and the service, everything is there with Zack Snyder. Would they do it? That's the question. That's the question that we're all wondering. This is why it's very important for this buyout to happen. This buyout is going to change everything in the entertainment business. And seeing what the plans are, somewhat of what Comcast wants to do, that they want to buy them out so they can merge HBO Max with Peacock and all of their services, that's a done deal. I'm telling you right now. Comcast, they can pull it. If they do it, oh man, I'm telling you right now, that's gonna change everything. That's gonna change everything, because Comcast, they own, Xfinity, which is like cable and internet services, and by them pushing with their own promotions, that alone is gonna bring them a lot. That's how AT&T was doing, at the time when the Snyder Cut came out. They were selling, I know because I had an insight at the time. They were selling you services from AT&T, and along with that, they were like, if you sign up with AT&T, we're giving you a month free for HBO Max, and you get to see Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's why, because the free marketing is all it's literally a circle. It's a circle. It works for them, and it worked for them. AT&T sold it because they don't care about it. They were like, nah, this is too complicated. We're gonna stick to phones. That's why I don't see Apple buying, WB, just because it's such a headache, and they're a phone company. They're more about, well, we're a phone company, that's like, why am I going to dive into this business when I have no clue about it? It's like, not opposed to like Paramount and Skydance. They know how this business works. They know how they're experts in this field. It's not like, hey, we don't know what we're doing. Comcast, they know what's up. They have a streaming service. They can milk the crap out of it. And if they get HBO Max, which we already know it's going to happen in 2 months. We're in October, November, December, and the year is done. Remember, in January, they're going to be doing that deal that officially starts with HBO Max and Comcast. Can something be cooking already with that? There could be a possibility. I'm not saying that it is, and I'm not saying it's not. It could be already the waters that they're testing, and they're seeing, hey, if we do this, this is going to bring us even more money. Let's try it out just with the streaming service. And from there, we'll see what's going to happen. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. And it gives them time, because, look, let's be realistic. You can't just come into play and be like, in 3 months, we're going to see results. No. In 6 months, maybe you're going to start seeing some type of results. But within a year, in 9 months, oh, you're going to definitely see a lot of results. Now, let's just speculate, right? Why do I say that? From here until November 2026, that's almost a year, right? That's what James Gunn has left on his contract. Now, let's just speculate. What if right now Comcast is low-key under everybody, without saying a word, preparing already to fully take control of HBO Max because they're helping them. They're like, hey, we're gonna come in. And remember, I've been telling y'all that they want and they asked for specifically David Ayer and Zack Snyder for DC alternative content for HBO Max. What is that telling you? They're working on something. They're planning something. They're coming up with something. They're strategizing something. They're planning ahead. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. And that the way that we keep on moving forward, remember, the future is unfortunately going to be digital, is going to be streaming. Everything is going to be streaming. Now, does that stop Comcast from saying, hey, we're going to put out physical media? No. Remember, Comcast owns Universal. And when these movies come out, what do we get? Physical copies. Does Netflix do that? No. Netflix doesn't. Netflix only gives us streaming. And if you don't have access to the streaming, you're stuck. You can't buy the whole series of whatever show you like. No, you have to go and subscribe in order for you to enjoy it, you know? And it's like, yo, I see the good and I see the bad, but I see it more possible and more realistic with Comcast or with Paramount. Just because they care about, of course, making money. And how do you even own more money? And how do you invest to get more money? You put out physical copies. You put out physical merchandise, and people are going to buy that. You don't have to put, for example, 1,000,000 copies. You could just put 100,000 copies, and those things are going to sell. And if you need a reprint again, you do it again. And that's what they're going to do. And I think that that's what and where the route is heading to right now. Because notice, now we're hearing that, you know, Comcast is preparing their bid. Netflix is preparing it. We already saw that WB turned down the offer from Paramount Skydance. All right. Next on the plate is Comcast and Netflix. Which one of the two are going to make the next offer? Last week, last Friday, right? I think it was Friday or Saturday is when that whole thing came out. I think it was on Saturday because I remember I spoke about that video, and literally that's when it came out Saturday. So don't be surprised. I'm telling y'all right now, do not be surprised if tomorrow something does end up coming out and we start hearing, hey, Comcast or Netflix made a counteroffer. We're gonna hear that. I'm telling you, it might not be tomorrow. I'm just speculating. But don't be surprised if it does happen. But it's coming. We're gonna hear it soon. And I'm telling you, mark my words, once we hear what the counteroffer is, then we're gonna hear the next counteroffer of whoever it is, Netflix or Comcast or whoever the hell is interested in buying, just because they're after Warner Brothers. They want it. They want it. The question is, who is going to own them in the end and how they're going to end up buying them? Because in the end is all, David Zaslav on what best offer he's willing to take, and at this point it's already proven it's just greed that's leading him to all these bids, But these companies also are being cautious because they can't risk all their company, on assets that are not bringing in them, money like that. Yes, they'll own all these characters and stuff like that, but you have to also remember you're absorbing all that debt. What are they gonna do with that? How are you gonna compensate and fix what's already damaged? Because WB has so much debt, and that's why they're lowballing, and they have to. Now it's obvious you have to lowball them because you're not gonna take a company for 100 billion when your company is costing you more than 100 billion. Just to try to recuperate and try to break even. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. Business wise, it doesn't make sense. That's like saying I'm gonna spend $10, but I'm gonna risk $10. I might make my $10 back. I might not. To some, that's a joke, but I use that small example because it's like gamble. Are you going to risk it all, or are you going to see your options, weigh it out, and see what's worth, risking that bid, that offer, and stuff like that? And that's what I think that in the end it's happening. And of course, we already know because of the financial losses that WB's been putting out, it's affecting them more, and it's finally caught up in the sense of, well, are these companies really going to be investing this much for a company that's not really bringing in this much? They're going to have to do something. And if they do end up buying it, don't think that they're not going to sit back and be like, oh, well, we have Justice League, but we didn't do anything else with it. No, they're going to be like, yo, we have to put Justice League 2 and 3 out. Let's make the call. Let's bring Zach. This is why I'm telling you, why would Comcast specifically, in a rumor that I talked about, and I keep on bringing it up, a lot of people don't talk about it and they don't want to, bring that to the attention, but I do, because that's something very interesting that we have to keep an eye on. Why would Comcast specifically asked for Zack Snyder and David Ayer, and they want to do DC alternative content for HBO Max. That to me, as a consumer, as a fan, and as somebody in business, I would be like, yo, what are you planning? What are your plans? You trying to bring that back, huh? You know that there's money there. You're trying to invest, huh? You're trying to spend money. That's how I would see it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, that's not gonna make you money, no, because it's already proven. They have James Gunn. He's been already doing what he's doing at DC, and it's not working. So I'll be like, damn, hold on. Minecraft didn't work. They were almost to a billion, but that still didn't save them. Barbie didn't help. And now let's look at the DC brand. Damn, what shape is it in? No, this is a disaster. We have characters, they sell because merchandise is selling and stuff like that. But why is the movie doing so bad? Like, why is the movie division doing so bad? Why is the gaming division doing so bad? And that's where they have to come into play and come up with plans with, like, how do we fix this? It's repairable, but it's gonna cost them. It's literally gonna cost them. I don't think it's not gonna cost us. It's gonna cost us also as the fans, because I'm sure they're gonna raise the prices on the streaming service. I'm sure they're gonna raise the prices if they put out physical media, which I'm willing to pay. I don't care as long as they give us what we want. That's it. When the Snyder Cut came out, what was it, like? Probably like $30 at the time, for a physical of the actual Blu-ray, and stuff like that. I got the 4K, so that was like probably like what, $40 or something like that, and that's in years ago. Like when it came out in 21, we're talking about like what, 4 years that it came out. So the prices from then have changed to now, and these companies can do just like what Disney is doing. Oh, you want physical? That's fine. We're gonna charge you almost $100, and that's what Disney's doing. Disney's putting out steelbook, movies, because they know that collectors are buying it. They know that kids are not buying that. Parents are not like, hey, I'm gonna buy you Lion King on steelbook for $100. No, they're like, okay, we're gonna target those Marvel collectors. We know that they're willing to spend. All right, let's tax them, and that's what they're doing, and people are buying them. They're selling. They're selling because if you go to like Walmart, you see that the shelves are selling. Now you go and see DC section, all those movies are they're fully stocked everywhere I go. Walmart that still carries physical media is stocked. It's overstocked. The toys, the merchandise, overstocked. But then when I go to Jurassic section from Jurassic World, the toys are gone. The merchandise is gone. The movies are gone. I'm like, damn, that's selling. So it's telling you what's selling and what's not, And Superman, they tried so hard. They know that it didn't work. WB knows. They must be regretting that they even considered James Gunn and they went with this reboot. It's all caught up to them. But this is what happens when you don't give the fans what they want. We've been telling you for years. All you have to do is just simple. Just bring Zach back. Do whatever the hell you're doing with James Gunn. That's fine. I'm not gonna watch it, but just include us. But no, James Gunn with his big mouth has offended every fan. And I'm not just talking about the Snyder fans. He's offended every fan. Because when you have fans that were supporting James Gunn in the beginning and they were like, yeah, I believe in James Gunn, blah, blah. And now they're the ones coming out on Twitter and coming out on social media saying, yeah, you know what? I'm done supporting him. Then you have a problem because they don't believe in him no more. They're like, nah, I'm done. Unfortunately, it's like politics. They don't believe in that candidate no more. And that's what's going on right now. People have finally caught on to all the lies of what James Gunn has been putting out there. And it's telling you, it's telling you. It's completely a mess when it comes to that and stuff like that. Get ready for the heat when the Snyderverse returns. The gun goofies will be like women scorned. Yeah, I'm telling you. Once whoever buys WB, they get full acquisition. Whoever it is, it's like Hungry Games. Like may the odds be on your favor. Whoever wins, at this point, I don't care. I don't care who ends up buying them. We know that they're going to capitalize and they're going to maximize profit off of it. Just alone, when the moment that we hear WB has been sold to this new company, whoever the hell it is, I'm telling you right now, their stocks are going to soar. They're going to go sky high. I'm talking about like, it's going to be nuts. All right. Once whoever ends up buying them, right? If they end up which I know they will because there's money. Once they announce, hey, we want to do things with Zack Snyder and we want to do things with this famous Snyderverse. Just test the waters. All you got to do is make a poll and be like, yo, you guys want it? And you're going to see from that how it's going to be talked about from everybody, from everywhere around the world, because it's going to show you, hey, there's still an interest. There's still people still want this. It's proven. It's proven. When you do a crowdfund with McFarlane Toys and it literally got funded in less than a week for a toy, that's a toy. We're talking about a Batmobile from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Just a toy. It got funded in less than 7 days. Think about that. Let that marinate. In less than 7 days, the goal was 400,000. 400,000, right? That got funded in 5 days. Not even a week. That tells you everything. Now you imagine if they were to announce, hey, we're doing Justice League 2 and 3. That's it. That's it. That's it. Like, bring an EKG, wake me up because I just got a stroke. Straight up. Like, yo, like, people will be like, what? Everybody will be talking about it. And then don't think that that Marvel's gonna sit there with their arms crossed and be like, oh, okay, here we go again. Now Marvel's gonna be like, yo, we need a meeting ASAP. Zack is back. The Snyderverse is back. We already know what this means. How are we gonna cook the next Marvel movies? And that's where it's gonna come into play. And again, the heat is gonna start. Marvel versus DC again. But except this time is gonna be different because now you have Zack. Remember, Zack has already built and opened the doors to not just one movie, multiple movies. The Snyder Cut opens the doors to so many movies. And not only that, Black Adam opens the door to so many things too. Because now you have The Rock as Black Adam. You have Henry Cavill back as Superman from this current timeline of DC within the same cinematic universe. Where's that going to go? Let's not forget, and let's give credit. I don't care what some people might say. Let's give credit. Zachary Levi, right? In the last film when they had the council, whatever those wizards are, whatever, that same guy appeared in Black Adam. So I'm like, damn, hold on. And they even acknowledged it. And I'm like, hold on. I see what they're doing. They're low-key connecting it. Yes, Zachary Levi sucked as Shazam and whatever, but that's not his fault. He's taking directions of the director. Now, let's look at it from a different perspective. I want to see what Zack Snyder could do with Zachary Levi. And eventually, I want to see, I don't know about y'all, but I want to see Zachary Levi's Shazam on a serious, more mature tone, facing off with Black Adam, with The Rock, and Henry Cavill as Superman, like we've seen in the comics. You imagine how badass that would be? Yo, like, I can't even think about how amazing that would be. Because under the guidance of Zack, we've already seen that there's profit. The first Aquaman, the first Wonder Woman. That already is telling you it's a success. We've already seen with Man of Steel. By now, we can fully say, you know what? The Snyderverse makes money. It does. It makes money. The only thing is that you have all these fake fans coming out and still trying to, deride on James Gunn. Oh, that he knows what he's doing. He has no clue. Zack Snyder knows what he's doing. Hell, Superman from James Gunn, 12 years later, which brings us to today, could not beat Man of Steel, a movie that was made over a decade ago. And plus, what does that tell you? That it sells. Why are they doing crowdfunding with the Snyderverse related stuff? Because it sells. Why? Why do they continue? Because there's still a demand. If it was a quote unquote dead universe, they wouldn't be doing that. Nobody. But what do we see? Not only McFarlane Toys, we see third party companies, that they're putting out merchandise still from the Snyderverse. They're making statues. Iron Studios is making a big Darkseid statue. What? Why? I thought that universe was dead. It makes money. It sells. WB knows that it sells. They all know. Do you think that James Gunn doesn't know that it sells? Of course he does. This is why he got away and he did what he did with Peacemaker Season 2. That he erased that whole ending. James Gunn is so bitter that he was like, I'm going to retcon that whole ending and I'm going to bring in my Justice Gang. Nobody cares about your shitty Justice Gang. Nobody cares about that. We don't even take that name serious, the Justice Gang. Get out of here. We're going to replace it and we're going to go back to what was working, which was Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's who has always been there. The Justice League, not the Justice Gang. Get out of here with that crap. James Gunn doing that is the same thing how Marvel did with Thunderbolts. Renaming it. Oh, we're not going to call it the Thunderbolts no more. We're going to call it New Avengers. How? How did that happen? That literally went from overnight, and that's what James Gunn did too. And that's what I'm telling you. All of these companies are after WB because they know that they have IPs that they're going to make money. You think that Comcast, that owns Universal, that owns also Universal Studios, that they're not going to want to capitalize on Harry Potter even more than what they already are? Of course they are. What do you think, that if they buy DC, that they're not going to open a whole section exclusive just for DC? Of course they are. If they have a section that's for Nintendo with Super Mario, the Nintendo World, you don't think that they're gonna do like something like with the DC characters? Of course they are. They're gonna want to. They already have a ride throwing it into Disney's face, literally across their theme park, in Orlando, where they have the Hulk ride. You're driving off of the highway and you see that big ass roller coaster. Oh, what roller coaster is that? Oh, that's the Hulk. You imagine what Disney must be feeling every day that they see, damn, that's our character, but we don't own the rights to it. We sold it to them back in the 90s. Exactly. And that's how WB is about to be if they don't end up selling. Because they're going to be like, damn, we didn't sell it. So now we had to sell parts of different assets to different companies. You imagine that? You imagine that. That would be a nightmare. That would be a nightmare. It would be. That's why these companies are after WB, because they know that there's money there. They know that the demand is there, It's just a matter of how and when this is all going to go down. We already know that it's happening, but how and when is it going to happen? Fans want Justice League Go, not Justice Gang shit. Yeah, it's true. Justice Gang doesn't even exist in the comics. What a hack. Wow, that tells you everything, man. That damn. Shazam was going to get brutally murked by parademons in Justice League 2 and the Apocalypse War. You see? There's a clip I know on YouTube with the cartoon. I'm not sure from where, but I think it's from the animated show. I don't know. But it does show, Shazam, Superman, and Black Adam fighting. And I'm like, that's badass. And that's a cartoon. I want to see that in live action. If I was an investor, I would be bringing that shit up. I'll be like, you see this? I want that to be brought into the big screen. We need to turn this into a movie. How? How do we make this happen? Oh, it's part of Zack Snyder's. Well, get Zack Snyder on the phone. You want me to invest? Then bring in what's gonna make us money. That's it. That's what I want to see. And then we do a poll. Let's test the waters. Let's ask the fans. Would you want to see these three go at it? They're gonna be like, hell yeah, let's go, because people want it. See what I'm saying? It's like that's what's gonna sell. And that's what they need. And they already know. They have statistics. They have the numbers. They know what's making money, what's not making money. They know. They're not dumb. They're like, oh, let's go ahead and put out another Snyder product. Why? Because it funds it. It's going to bring in money. Come on, let's go, baby. We don't play. We got the money. That's not the problem. The problem is not about money. And that's the problem that these James Gunn cultists can't handle. They know that we got the money for it. Oh, it's $20? That's fine. We'll pay it. And we'll go and repay it again. And guess what? Guess what, clowns? We're going to repay that again. Because when Man of Steel came out, when Batman vs. Superman came out, all those movies, I rewatched them over 3 times. I can't even remember how many times. That's what's telling. I could have bought that movie probably like 3 times, literally, like on physical. The same thing with the Transformers with Michael Bay. You know how many times I went to go see the first movie, the second, and Dark of the Moon? I don't even remember how many times, but that shit was so good that I was like, I'm gonna go watch that bitch again. And that's what I did. Every time I go to Universal, the first ride that I get into, when I hit the theme park and I go in, I always tell my girl, you already know where I'm gonna go. Transformers the ride. There's nobody in that line. I'm gonna go in that bitch probably 6 times back to back. The people in the front, when they see me, they're like, just go, just go. You don't even gotta make the line because there's nobody. And then next thing you know, I'm like, hell yeah, I got my money's worth. I can't say the same thing about all these last 3 movies from the Transformers. I can't. Bumblebee, probably saw it twice, maybe twice. The Rise of the Beast, I know I saw that one probably like 2 times, and I was like, that's it. The Transformers 1, I only saw that shit 1 time in the theaters. That's it. I was like, I don't need to watch this again. I don't need to watch it again because it's just not for me. I was like, this is what everybody was crying about. This is what the G1 fans wanted. It just didn't convince me. I was like, this movie was crap. The animation was beautiful and stuff, but it's just not for me. Bring me what people like to call a murderous, what's his name? Optimus Prime. People always crying and complaining, oh, Optimus Prime doesn't kill. That's not how he is in the comics. That's not who he is. Oh, Batman doesn't kill. That's not who he is. Shut up. Shut up. That's what the director wants to give us. That's what I love, and that's what I'm enjoying. And that's what I'm supporting and spending my money on. And that's what hurts to all these fake fans. And I say fake fans because they want you to accept what they want. Oh, you want a coward type of character, right? that he's gonna be like Superman, what we saw in James Gunn, right? He's a coward, he's weak, he doesn't even stand for what he is. Come on, I don't care about that. I want to see these brute badass characters because that's what I want to see. I want to see explosions. I want to see damage. I want to see chaos. I want to see all that. If that's what that world implies, that's what I want to see. You think you want to see, or people want to see a happy, cheerful Thanos? Oh, guess what, guys? I just snapped my fingers and we conquered the world and that's it. End of the story. We now rule the universe. That's it. Happy ending, right? And then you see a fucking little butterfly and that's it. The end. No, man. I want to see how these characters do what they do, like what we saw in Endgame. Thanos wasn't playing around. Snapped them fingers. Everybody got affected by it. That's what I want to see. Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was teasing us. It was preparing us. Yo, we have the biggest threat. We got Darkseid facing the Justice League. This is a movie that's been in the making. We got Batman versus Superman. We got Man of Steel. We got Wonder Woman. We got Aquaman, right? Before we got the Snyder Cut. We didn't get a Ben Affleck's Batman movie. What a shame. And we didn't get a Cyborg movie with Ray Fisher. What a shame. Now is when we already finally have, after Justice League, we get the Flush or whatever, and it's still not what we wanted. Whatever. The point is that it was building up to it. The same how the Avengers build up to that whole, with Thanos and facing him and stuff like that. Except on this one, Zack has finally opened and paved the road and say, hey, look, they're about to face off Darkseid. It's coming. And then the studios just decides to say, you know what? We're gonna pull the plug on that. What? Why? Why would you pull the plug on that? Why would you stop it? Like, why would you not continue it before you actually do the next move? Nah, we're gonna move forward with James Gunn because we're gonna reboot. What? You see how puzzled I am? That's how a lot of fans in the audience are. They're puzzled. They're confused. They're like, it just doesn't make sense. And that's the same thing when it comes to this. How do you not continue something knowing that people wanted that? Like what? And then you wonder why you're losing money, and then you wonder why your stocks are down straight up to the ground. I'm like, it's not hard. All you have to do is just give the fans what they want, give proper closure, and then you move on. You want to do a reboot? That's all fine, but do it after you're done. Now I can imagine. You imagine right now all of a sudden they pull the plug on James Gunn. Oh, you're gonna have the minority of James Gunn fans crying and complaining, right? Oh, but nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody's watching it. The numbers don't lie. They're telling you the statistics and all that. It's not selling. It's not making money. If I was David Zaslav, I'll be like, you know what? I'm sorry. We're pulling the plug right now. We're canceling whatever it is that you're trying to do. I'll go live and I'll cancel all that shit because it's not what the company looks forward to. That's how I would go about on it. But meanwhile, they want to keep doing the wrong moves that they're doing and stuff like that. But it tells you, we need this as $1 billion box office easy. Yeah, big time. They announced Ben Affleck's Batman. I'm telling you right now, that alone is guaranteed $1 billion. Guaranteed. It's guaranteed that there's no and ifs or buts. Snyder wanted to bring Keanu Reeves, Constantine, Ryan Reynolds, Green Lantern, and Kilowog into Justice League 2. They need to do it. They need to do it. Disney still sticks. Is still down. Oh, the stocks are still down. Yeah, yeah. And they wonder why. You know? And they wonder why. But yeah, these companies, they have the biggest IPs in the world, but they have no idea what to do with it. And that's the shameful part. I'm like, you own these big IPs, but you don't know what to do with it. Like, why? Like, this is why these companies are after it because they know that it's gonna bring in money. With Harry Potter, that's gonna bring in money. With Barbie, that's gonna bring in money. Of course, the movie rights I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the figures and stuff because that's what Mattel owns. But all these movies that they're working and they have, with Dune, all these IPs besides DC. Let's not even focus on DC right now. They have so many IPs. They have so many I can't even think of because I'm just so used to seeing the most popular thing, which is DC. And that's the main thing that I pretty much focus on. I'm not really interested in too much of their brands and stuff. But it shows you, it just tells you there's money there. There's money. Lilo and Stitch made $1 billion, but didn't save Disney. Thank you. That's a good point, Charger Six Pack. That's a very good point, honestly, because the same way how Barbie made $1 billion for WB and Minecraft almost, it still didn't save them. And that proves there's money, but it didn't do crap. You believe Justice League 2 would be Justice League and Air, Suicide Squad plus Lex Luthor team up to face Darkseid and Superman. That sounds good if they want to do that. I'm all for it. All I want to see is, like I say, I want to see Zach back, David Ayer back. Let them do their thing and finish what their vision. Let them finish what we were promised. That's what I want to see. I still want to see what the hell David Ayer was gonna do in the air cut and what Gotham City Sirens was supposed to be all about. Since the beginning that James Gunn set foot, he already knew that he was gonna screw everything that has to do with the DCEU, because we could clearly see how he takes out and he kills off all these characters from the David Ayer's universe. What he did to Captain Boomerang. Come on, when that big blade takes him out. Come on, that's just him. Saying, look, I'm ending your universe now since I have a little bit of power. And now that he's, the head of DC Studios, that's why he's doing what he's doing. But again, I'm glad he's doing that. It's just showing you, that that his leadership is not working and stuff. WBD needs Zach back. Let him finish Justice League 2. Hell yeah, and 3. Exactly, not what? Exactly. Not everything have to follow the comics. I bet even Marvel's not following the comics 100%. Yeah, for sure. I'm sure they're not. Yeah, Let's see. Slipknot, what's up? They can easily drive the marketing for the Snyderverse with releasing the Snyderverse trilogy in cinemas in a small time. Air cut on streaming. Yeah, they can. Exactly. They could do that. Put the air cut, and that's it. It's gonna bring in subscribers, it's gonna bring interest, it's gonna bring a lot of things. And this is what Disney and Marvel doesn't want. They know that that's gonna happen. They don't want it because they know it's bad for them, because they know that all the attention is gonna go back to DC again. So especially with the way that Disney is doing right now, yeah, it's gonna bite them. Nate, what's up? Man of Steel 2 and Ben Affleck movie are a must. Yes, is a must for sure. Zack Snyder Justice League needs to be seen in IMAX. Snyder built the lens, and the ratio is built for IMAX screens. Yeah, exactly, 100%. Um, get Mr. Phenom and Dami on for a live stream. I'm down. I'm down. It all depends on them if they want to. I'm down for it. Y'all already know that I don't turn down networking and stuff like that. You should read about absolute versions of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. They're right up your alley. Yeah, that's what I keep on hearing, that they're really good and dark and stuff like that. The only thing, I'm gonna be real with you, is just that the designs of the absolute Batman, they just don't get my attention. I really don't like those designs, man. I can't stand that Bat logo. I just don't like how pointed and long the ears are. They make Batman way too over muscular. I don't know. It's just me. It's just me. I'm not feeling it. I just, if the art doesn't catch my attention, most likely I'm not even gonna be looking at it, because that's just like, I'm more of a visual. It'll catch my attention, and I'm like, all right, let's go. But I don't know, the designs. I'm just not feeling them, man. Since day one, I'm like, but I be hearing a lot of good things, that I'm probably gonna have to just suck it up and be like, you know what? Let me just look over that and try to dive into it, because I know I be hearing a lot of people saying that it's really good, and I know it's selling real good. So, that's a good thing. Uh, Flashpoint for DCU would have been bombastic. Yeah. Let's see. Zack Snyder did say he wanted to do an application of the animated Justice League Unlimited show and his Justice League. And talking about animated, real quick, when we saw that, I'm not sure if some of y'all saw it, but I know there's a clip out there from, what was it that where we saw it, that they had that, like, Dark Side and Flash, and I think Robin. I think it was in Young Avengers, not a Young Avengers. I don't know. It was a cartoon that they ended up putting these characters, like if they were in the Snyder cut. That it was animated. That was pretty dope. I was like, damn, that looks beautiful. That was really really nice. But it just shows you, it's like that's what DC should be about. And it just completely annoys me when fans are like, oh, DC shouldn't be dark. I'd be seeing comments, and I just delete these comments when people be like, oh, Batman shouldn't be dark, and Superman shouldn't be dark. That's not what they stand for. That's not what they stand for, but that's what they are right now. But that's what they are, honestly. It's like, oh, I'm tired of seeing brute Batman. I don't like to see violent Superman. Yo, that's what I like. That's what I enjoy. Like, I don't know why some people have a hard time. It's like, why does my opinion trigger other people? It doesn't make sense. Zack Snyder did say he wanted, yeah. Okay. See, give the design a chance. The gritty story will wrap you in. Nice. I'm gonna have to check that out. Wars the Marvel. Glad you could join us. Uh, I know your time zone is different. What is it over there? Nighttime, or over here on the East Coast right now? We are at 2:13 in the afternoon, and I've been talking for an hour and 44 minutes. I would love to see Man of Steel in cinemas again. Yeah, yeah. That's how they could do that. They could put those movies in theaters and make money back. And especially releasing it how it was originally supposed to be. You imagine that? They released Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, the uncut version, and then they end up doing whatever the hell they want to do, leading to what we were gonna get, with Zack Snyder's Justice League, which of course is rated R and stuff, and of course put David Ayer's Suicide Squad, the uncut version, also. It's a big difference, big difference. And then go on streaming and put the Ayer cut. So I mean, that could be so much. Oh damn, it's 4:13 in the morning. Wow, nice. Appreciate you for watching. Also, damn, 4:13 in the morning. That's extremely early. I think the main reason why people are not a fan of Batman killing is because you're basically turning him into the Punisher. You're removing a core part of the character's identity. Yeah, yeah, but these heroes are doing what they have to do. Restore Snyderverse. Yes, sir. I feel that let's be real. It's 2025. At least for me, my point of view is these heroes, whoever it is, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, whatever, the list continues, Iron Man, all these, yes, they're heroes, but they have to do what's necessary. That's what I'm doing in my comic. In my comic, my characters, they're doing what is necessary. That doesn't mean that they're, straight up killers and murderers and they support that. No. But they have to do what's necessary in the situation that they're facing. So you're gonna tell me that this hero is gonna do like what we saw with Superman, with Henry Cavill in Man of Steel. It's either save the family or snap Zod's neck to save the family. Which one of the two you want to go with? I'm like, yo, Superman's not a killer, but he did what he had to do. It's either stopping Zod or that family is gonna get fried. And he did what he had to do. And then later, like somebody pointed, Superman lives with that, and that's why he screams and he's feeling it. I mean, it's not who he is, but yo, the emotion is there. Like, dude just literally snapped Zod's neck. He didn't want to, but he had to. He was forced to do it because it's the situation that he's facing, And it's like it's not like how the Avengers. Oh, here you go. You have all the Avengers fighting literally in the city. Everything is being destroyed. So you're gonna tell me there's no casualties? Of course there is. People are gonna be losing their lives. It's just what happens. But so we're not gonna blame these characters, right? We're not gonna blame Iron Man for using the Hulkbuster and going through the walls and smashing, right? Probably somebody was sleeping and the Hulkbuster just completely they put him to sleep for good. It's like, yo, like, but that's okay, right? You see what I'm saying? It's like the logic behind it. It's like it just doesn't make sense. Like when people see when Ben Affleck's Batman's in the Batmobile and he's taking down those criminals, when he's chasing them, I'm like, he's doing what he has to do, and in the end, he did what he had to do, and that's it, so it is what it is. Man of Steel, as a creator, you don't need to put the characters in the situation. No, they don't have to be in that situation, but maybe that situation was caused because of what was going on. That's what happened. That's what happened with Zod and that family with Superman. It's like, what are they gonna end up doing? That's the thing, But it is what it is. Batman was at his lowest, ultra depressed, suicidal, but hopeful, and he saw the monument. Yeah, yeah, big time. Batman's not holding back, in your opinion, adds more flavor and variety to the character story, something that others like Daredevil, Spider-Man, Superman should honestly do more. Yeah, yeah, that's true. To me, it just adds a little bit more to it. It just adds more detail. I don't know. Just I appreciate that more in the story because it just tells you, all right, yes, these characters, especially Superman, yeah, he's a god, but he feels and he can kind of understand and relate to how human empathy is. It's like like what I don't even know how to explain it. I just know that what Zach was building is just I love that. I like that. It just brings the emotion. It just brings the human side of it. But at the same time, it's like, yo, these are individuals that have superpowers. They're not gonna be able to save everybody. It's even though they have powers, they just can't. Um, let's look at, for example, Steppenwolf. He's a badass. He's a badass. He's just evil. All right. He works with Darkseid, but Zach made me, at least for me as the audience, I'm like, I don't know nothing about this character because I just don't. I know he's a bad guy. That's it. I feel bad when he takes off his helmet and he's talking to Darkseid, trying to tell him, "Yo, come on, man, like, do me a solid. Like, come on. I've been trying to get these damn mother boxes, but you're on my ass about it. I'm gonna get them to you. Just let me do them how I gotta get them." And then he's like, "I already got two." And Darkseid's like, "Yo, you got the other one because you owe me on this debt." You get what I'm saying? And then he's like, I'm gonna give it to you. And you could see, like, I feel bad for Steppenwolf. I'm like, damn, this dude, like, Zack Snyder did not just make me feel bad for this bad guy. Like, is this sympathy? I think it is. And I'm like, yo, that, yo, like, that's art. That is art. That's art. You're feeling bad for the bad guy. You get what I'm saying? It's like when Thanos did the same thing after he snapped and he sits down at the end. It's like, yo, is this dude like regretting what he just did? Like, this is what he's been fighting for. He finally accomplished it. And he goes and sits at the end and he looks into the sunset and that's it. The movie ends. I'm like, yo, did he just regret what he's doing? You see what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that I look at and I'm like, he didn't have to do that, but he did it, and it adds more to the movie. You know, when you see in Batman Returns with Danny DeVito's Penguin, and Batman pushed him off. You know, he fell from whatever the top, and he comes out of the water, and dude is he's choking because you know he needs the AC, the cold temperature like a penguin to survive, and then you know this version of Penguin, he's so evil, he wants to take out Batman, and Batman's looking at him, knowing that he's not gonna do anything. He's like, "Yo, you're about to die," and because of the conditions, you know. And then Penguin's like, "Yo, I'll do it myself." And then he's like, before he does that, he's like, "But first, I'm gonna drink a nice cold cup of water or something like that." He says because he needs something cold, and then he goes out, and I'm like, damn, that shit made me want to cry because I was like, damn, the whole movie I'm already growing to this character. Like he's sinister, he's evil, but you still have sympathy for him, and it's like, damn, yo, like, damn, did they really have to do that to the Penguin? You get what I'm saying? Like, dude wasn't he was just focused trying to find out who his parents was, trying to find out why he was born the way he was. You know, Batman just came through and just fucked his plans up, you know, unintentionally, and it is what it is. But you just feel sorry for these characters and stuff like that. And it's like, damn, that's to me that's cinema. That's cinema. You know, it's like, damn, you make me believe these characters. The same thing how we see in the Lion King, the cartoon. You know, when y'all gonna tell me, y'all gonna lie to me and tell me that you didn't cry when Mufasa died? Bullshit. I call that cap. I call that cap because yo, I know half of y'all probably cried when you saw the first time Mufasa die on the Lion King. I was like, yo, they didn't do Mufasa like that. I was like, why they had to do him like that? You get what I'm saying? And that falls into what you said. They didn't have to do that, but it's the situation. You get what I'm saying? You have all this cattle running around. There's a stampede, and you know, like they're trying to look out for themselves. And Mufasa was at the wrong place at the wrong time. See what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, Disney, you just made me feel bad for this character. It's a cartoon, but that's what Disney used to be. They used to have heart. They used to deliver quality. But we can't say the same thing anymore, you know? That's the thing, you know? So I don't know. Those are just things that I look at when I see these movies, you know? It just adds more to it. It just makes it more rich in the sense of you know, like creative wise, is just damn, those are little details that you didn't need, but you just they're there. And I thank that, you know, to every director and movie makers or whatever it is, and whatever it is, just because you could relate to the character and you're like, damn, all this time, you know, low key, I was getting attached to him. And now you're seeing that, yo, it came to an end. You know, it's like, and you don't believe it just because, you know, you're just so fond of this character, of that universe and stuff like that. What do you think about Amateur 2025? I didn't see it. I don't even know, honestly. Man of Steel is GOAT. Yeah, yeah, good stuff out there and things like that. Let me see. All right, so yeah, damn. All right. I know I've been talking for a minute and it's been good and everything, but I think I'm about to end it because I gotta go do some stuff. So I'm just looking at my time and make sure that I'm good. But yeah, man, you know that's why I love doing these live streams with y'all, because we always could talk about anything, everything, and you know it's just like we always learn something. I learn something, you know, new every day. So you know it's always chill and stuff like that. Mufasa's death was an important plot for the entire story and influenced Simple's character development. Superman killing Zod didn't really have any consequence. I agree and I disagree. Honestly, it's a 50-50, you know? Um, I mean, yeah, it didn't have consequences, but let's look at it. I think the consequences, if Zod wasn't dead, then Lex would have never gotten his body and created Doomsday, you know? So it's like, I think that's the consequence. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't know. That's how I feel with that part. WB should have just copied the Tim Burton universe animated but live action. Yeah, you know, Zod was resurrected as a Doomsday, and it was a huge consequence. Yeah, big time. Thank you. You see, that's a consequence. That's why I was like, yo, like if Zod would have never been dead, that would have never happened, you know. So, we should have seen Superman struggle with the consequences of killing the last of his kind in the next film. Yeah, I mean, remember, in the end, it's all about WB. What the hell they wanted to do, you know? WB's a mess, and you know they ruined a lot of things that were originally supposed to happen and stuff like that. But it is what it is, my friends. You know. But with that being said, I want to thank y'all for watching. I'll probably come back tomorrow, Saturday, sometime. I'm not sure what time, but for sure we'll do another live stream and stuff like that. But it was good today. You know, pretty much 2 hours hung out and stuff like that. I just got to go do some stuff and things like that. But I'm going to catch you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in, all that good stuff. And until next time, peace out.